All right, everybody, welcome back. My name is Kyle Bazzi, president here at Benzinga with the Benzinga Fintech Awards. We're looking for innovative people, products, and companies to help make you money. Up next is CML, Capital Markets Laboratories, and I'm here with Ophir Gottlieb. Ophir, how's it going?
Very well. How are you?
Good, good. I was just telling you, I've seen some of your articles on Benzinga and some of your data analysis. Big fan of CML and what you guys are trying to do. Let's get a little background on the company and background on you before we get started into the product.
Sure. The company was founded with the idea of bringing the power of visual data and the power of living data to finance, as opposed to having data, let's say, that exists on the screen as it is. We want you to have data that you can move around for yourself. And also we want to bring the power of visualization. We focus on research that was done by a 3M corporation, that the brain processes visual information 60,000 times faster than text, for example. Or that 3% of all nerve fibers are connected in the brain are connected to the retina. And so that's what CML does. My background is in quantitative research. I did my graduate work in mathematics at Stanford. I was also an option maker on the NYSE ARCA and SIBO option floors. So I have a trading background and research background. And my co-founder is Jim Kaplan. He's one of the founding directors of MarketWatch, lead founder of CMS, which is the leading fixed income portfolio analytics. So that's sort of a brief background of who I am, who he is, and who we are.
All right, perfect. I love that we're talking about solutions that you guys built for yourselves. That's usually where the best companies are spawned out of. So where are you guys located, and how many employees, or is it just you and Jim right now?
No, we're in Los Angeles, and there's 6 of us.
Cool. All right, let's jump into a little more of the product. So you talk about data visualization. Get a little more specific on exactly what the product is and who is this for?
Sure. So I think we take a step back. There's a lot of research out there that says that human beings on average use like 10% of their brain, let's just say, and that research is actually completely flawed. We use about 10% of our brain at our least efficient. It turns out that we can use almost 20 or 25% of our brain if we're able to take information in a way that's different than how we as human beings think of it. A great example would be music. So Johann Sebastian Bach, for example, one of my favorite musicians ever, has some of the most complex music in the world if you look at it on sheet music. It's mathematical. It's probably Fields Medal worthy if there was such a thing back then. Yet when you hear a Bach symphony, it sounds beautiful. It doesn't sound cacophonous at all. It sounds like everything makes sense. So the human brain can expand its potential for knowledge through things like music. It turns out the same thing goes for visualizations. But you can take the exact same instruments that Bach or Beethoven wrote a symphony for, play them at the exact same times with a different arrangement, and it's a total cacophony and it doesn't make sense. So our goal is not just to expand the mind, literally. As I said, the brain processes visual data 60,000 times faster than text. That's in a 3M Corporation research paper in 2001. Or that it improves learning up to 400%, same paper. But our goal is to bring the best visualizations for the human mind through with financial data. The product is for everyone across the board. Retail, we have a professional product which dives extraordinarily deep. It's for investor relations. It's for the news. We believe we can help. We ourselves cannot change the world. We believe we can help you. We can help other people change the world simply by doubling or tripling their capacity, the capacity of their brains to understand things. And so something that might have taken a day to do, say an investment banker might take a day to put together a whole bunch of data, we think we can do within 1 to 4 seconds.
All right, we're about to get super geeky, so I'm warning everybody that's watching. I love this. Let's talk about what kind of data we're looking at from a trader or an investor standpoint, and exactly how you're manipulating that and showing me something that can help me make a decision to make money.
Sure. So I'll just pull over here so I can read a little bit about some of the data. So we're starting with financial statement data. That's sort of I don't want to call it generic, but it starts with the fundamentals. Revenue, net income, gross margin, SG&A, research and development, operating margins, growth and all of those things, total assets, book value, free cash flow yield, things like that. Start with that. We then take, let's say you pick a company. I'm just going to make up a company. Let's say a bank. Let's say your small regional bank, say Silicon Valley Bank. There are, I don't know, 10,000 banks, no, not 10,000, probably 3,000 public banks in the world, 2,000, and you say, oh, I want Silicon Valley Bank to be compared only to regional banks, only to banks in the United States, only banks between $1 and $20 billion in market cap or whatever assets. That takes, I don't know, maybe a second to, it's actually living data. So the data is actually alive, you're clicking it and touching it, and it's moving and getting removed and getting added as you touch it. You create a peer group, and then you say, great, I've got this, I've got a balance sheet, I've got an income statement, I've got all these things. What do I do now? Within anywhere from a quarter to 1 second, and combines all of those financial statements of those peers that you've chosen. Let's say, in this case, there's about 76 or 75 regional banks that meet those measures. It combines all of them instantaneously into the financial statement. You can see all of their values and how they rank against SIVB. And as you start removing banks or adding banks to the mix, the percentile or the rank changes instantaneously. And as that's happening, it draws a picture for you because, again, text, 10% of the brain. Visuals, maybe 30% of the brain. And so we're allowing you to move the data around, and then we're visualizing it for you. And so I can come up with, it's not really me, all of us can come up, you can come up with a report that, let's say, Goldman Sachs would create. Maybe they charge, I don't know, $10,000 for it, taking 3 days to do. We're doing it in probably an hour, and it's more accurate because there is no mistake. There's this wonderful paper that says the size of an Excel spreadsheet as it grows gets exponentially more errors. There's no errors in what we're doing because you're not using an Excel spreadsheet. You're using your mind. You're touching and moving things, and there's just no. Computers don't make mistakes. People who use computers make mistakes. There's no room for error, and that's what we do. And so you can look for the fastest growing companies in the U.S. Something simple, or the companies that are growing fast and have high gross margins, or the companies that are growing fast, have high gross margins, have high dividend yield. You can also look for companies that have dividend yields that are larger than their free cash flow. Or you can look for banks that have high level 3 liabilities, which are these unobserved mark to model liabilities. For example, if you look at Citigroup right now, they've just reached $250 billion in unobserved liabilities that they're marking to model. There's just no other bank like that in the world, and you wouldn't know that until you looked at it on a chart. And you look at it on a chart and you say, what the hell is that red dot? And that's how we process the information.
All right, so this is all fantastic stuff. Am I logging into some kind of desktop platform and looking at, putting in my screen or whatever information I'm looking for, and then boom, it magically pops up some kind of visualization for me, or where am I accessing all this?
Even easier. You log in through the web, application sits in front of you, it's event-driven, it's sitting up, and it's waiting for you to tell it to do something. The first screen you'll see is choose a company. You could choose any company that's public in the world. We cover 25,000 companies. Or if you just, you know, gosh, I don't know what I don't want to look at Bank of America or SIB. I want to look at all the banks. I want to look at all of IT. I want to look at all of the internet software and services. I want to look at Twitter versus LinkedIn versus Yelp versus Facebook versus Google. Then you can go to another part of the application which allows you to just choose an industry or a sector, and you can do it by region of the world. I just want to look at European internet software and services. I want to look at European banks versus American banks. I want to look at the Asian airlines and why they're struggling so much relative to U.S. airlines, even though oil prices are going down. So however you want to look at it, you can. It's totally up to you, and the only skill set you need is this. Just click a mouse button.
Awesome, that is great. What's the business model? Are you guys charging a subscription fee to the platform? Is it a licensing fee one time?
No, so subscription fee, you know, professionals or whomever would subscribe to the software, pay a monthly fee. There are other things we do for investor relations where we'll actually just do help them create their investor relations presentations, in which case they have access to the application if they want to, but we'll also do it for them. We do provide sort of the expert analyst work for someone who wants it, and for the news organizations, we provide complete news. Like for Benzinga, we provide complete stories.
Very cool, very cool. So now tell me next like exactly where's the company going from here, and give me some statistics on how well you guys are doing right now. You know, do you have 100 clients, 1,000 clients? Where's the company at right now in terms of you know, successfully finding people you're solving problems for?
Sure. So the company was in development for about 8 months. We're moving around. We talked to Microsoft and a bunch of other specialists, and they said what we were trying to do is impossible. That we're moving around 20 billion with a B, 20 billion rows of data in under a second, which is considered impossible. And so it took us 6 months to prove that it wasn't. The product just released a couple of months ago. In other words, there's actually something you could log into and look at. Since then, the functionality has increased about 2,000%. So we've added about 20 times the original functionality. And just now, we're really ready to actually let people look at it. So I've been posting news articles on Benzinga and other places just to show demonstrations of how it's used. But just about probably a month ago, we allowed people to actually log in. So we have a couple of customers. We're talking to some corporations on the IR side. We're talking to some very large hedge funds. We're also talking to some retail folks, pick up on StockTwits and things like that, and some asset managers. But there's no real great statistics for us to share with you. We're just not that big. We have less than a dozen customers. Our major hurdle was being able to do something that everyone told us we could not do.
Well, that's why the favorite part of my job is I actually have read all those articles and was talking to my editors just a few days ago about how much I love them, and not realizing that this was the interview today. So I can speak from experience, and I really do like the data visualization you guys are doing. Before we get you to wrap up here, talk about the landscape of who else out there is doing this or something similar, and where you guys fit in there. Can I log into other platforms that are just too expensive for this, or is this the first time that on this scale this tool has been available to everybody?
So data visualization has been something that sort of entered into the world scope. It's not just finance. When you look at your cell phone, in the next 2 years, your contacts won't be names. There'll be green bubbles, which are, the large green bubbles are family members you talk to a lot. The small red bubbles will be the professionals that you don't talk to a lot. So data visualization is hitting the entire world because we're starting to learn it in finance more specifically. Some of the large terminal providers are starting to do it, but much like I was saying at the beginning, this example of a wonderful symphony written by Bach or by Beethoven, you can have 350 musicians playing music at the exact same time that Bach had them timed. Yet if they're not playing the same notes, it goes from a beautiful symphony, which we can understand, something totally cacophonous, which we cannot, and everything that I've seen so far has been a cacophony. So they are visualizing data, but it is not taking us from 10% of our brain to 30% of our brain. That actually takes a little bit of thought. It actually takes a little bit more than a little bit of thought. It takes a lot of thought. And so just throwing up a graph on the screen just isn't good enough. And so,
all right, this is fantastic, Ophir. Let's wrap it up here with a 30-second elevator pitch. The Benzinga Fintech Awards are all about innovation, whether it's product, companies, or people that are changing the way that we make money, save money, create wealth. In 30 seconds, tell us how CML is doing that for us.
CML will help anybody who uses this platform make money because we will expand the usage of your brain by threefold, and that's never been done in the history of mankind.
Making me smarter. I can definitely use it up here.
We're not making you smarter. We're letting you access your intelligence. You already have it.
Well, you don't have to talk me into it. If you're going to call me smart, I'm not prone to compliments there. So awesome. That's great, man. Really love this interview. Love what you guys are doing. That's Capital Markets Laboratories and Ophir for the Benzinga Fintech Awards. Ophir, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much.
Cool. If you want to go vote for them, go to benzingafintech.awards.com. Also, check out all the other 100 or so companies that have applied to be the most innovative product and companies that are helping you create wealth through the markets and otherwise. Until next time, this is Kyle Bazzi here, president of Benzinga. We'll see you on the next one.